three.
Hello, my name is Connor Bays, and today we'll be talking about my thesis, which is over the evil and the hubris throughout the Odyssey. So, starting off, the Odyssey is about Odysseus going through the ocean coming back from the Trojan War. Basically, and he meets a ton of people with hubris around. But before I start, I should first explain what hubris and wisdom is. So hubris is excessive pride. So it's like if I said, hey, you're stupid. When I'm higher than you, thinking I'm cooler than you. But wisdom is having knowledge, but not only having knowledge, but knowing when to use it. So first we're gonna go to Zeus and Athena talking. We enter the Odyssey with Zeus and Athena talking about mortals. Basically, Zeus says, oh, how shameless. These mortals blame the gods. From us alone, they say, come all the miseries, yes. But they, with their own reckless ways, compound their plans beyond their share. This is basically saying, it's not the gods, it's not that random person next to you whose fault it is. It's your fault. You pushing aside is just showing your hubris and just being stupid. So this basically just explains how people blame the gods and other things when they really shouldn't. And it basically goes into them talking about Aegisthus. Aegisthus is a man that was kind of like the usurper of Agamemnon's throne. Agamemnon was the king of, yes. He was the king of Agamemnon's kingdom. Basically, when he went to the Trojan War, Aegisthus seduced his wife, which the gods told him not to do. And the wife killed Agamemnon when he came back. Not a good idea, because the gods told him not to, which is why he died. Spoiler alert, sorry. So, I guess it's out of the way. We should move on to the suitors. The suitors were a group of people that when Odysseus left to go to the Trojan War, they came in because everyone thought he was dead. So they came in to marry his wife. Now, Penelope didn't want to marry, so she basically stalled because while the suitors were eating all the food and drinking all the drinks, basically being jerks, they were not being nice people. So Telemachus, Odysseus' son, confronts them and says, think, to pin the blame on us, you think again. It's not the suitors who deserve the blame, it's your own dear mother. The matchless queen of cunning, who's been toying with us this entire time. This basically shows that they think that it's not their fault that they're drinking all the food, eating all the food and drinking all the drinks, but it's her fault. It's like if I walked into your house, kicked your favorite vase, and said, "It's not my fault I kicked your vase. You shouldn't have had it there." You know what I mean? Like, who does that? That's crazy. And then so Telemachus goes and he prays to Zeus, saying, "I need help." Zeus sends down two eagles and they start fighting. And the seer points out that this is no normal occurrence. Two eagles fighting doesn't usually happen. It's a sign from the gods. And basically they're like, it's not a sign from the gods. We can do whatever we want because we're nice and we're doing the right things. So, and in the story, they all died. Spoiler, they died too. So, moving on to the crewmates. The crewmates are actually, in my opinion, the worst because not only are they warned by the gods, but they're warned by people around them too. Mainly Odysseus, because he's on their ship, on his ship. So basically, the crewmates, the first island they go to is Sicyon. And basically, this island is filled with towns all over the place. And they land there, and the first town, they go there and they beat everyone up and steal all their money and all their food. And now Odysseus is like, hey, we should leave now. I have a bad feeling about this place. And his crewmates are like, I don't feel like it. We should stay here and get some more food. Come on. What are you doing? And he's like, okay. So they stay there. And while they stay there, still getting money, food, all that good stuff, the surrounding towns prepare an army, and they come in and ambush. And basically, Odysseus, they have to drop most of their stuff, and they have to run with like their tails behind their back. So they're running and stuff, you know? And most of the crewmates die. So the next island the crewmates go to, basically they're warned, don't eat the cows. This is by Circe, the temptress. They're warned, don't eat these cows because they're the cows of a titan. And if you eat them, you're going to die. So at first they listen to Odysseus and they're like, hey, we should not eat these cows. And they don't eat the cows. But then they're starving. And then when Odysseus falls asleep, they eat the cows and they all die. So this is a common theme throughout the Odyssey because some people, like, they're given clear warnings by gods, by people, by everything around them, and they still continue to do wrong. When if they were to just stop for one moment and use wisdom, you might still be alive, like Odysseus. Now, moving on to the main character, Odysseus. So, Odysseus is the warrior of the Trojan horse. He's basically the reason they won. He created the Trojan horse, which is awesome. And basically, he kills monsters, all that cool stuff. So, the first noticeable thing about Odysseus is when arriving on the island of Hubris, which is basically the wind god, he gets like a bag of wind. And the god said, hey, with this wind, you can open it and it will shoot you like it will really fast. So he goes to the back of the boat and he opens it and they go really fast, right? They go really fast. But his crewmates open the bag when he's sleeping and basically capsize the ship. Again, showing that Odysseus used wisdom and the crewmates messed it up. It's honestly a big reoccurring theme throughout the Odyssey. So now, moving on to Telemachus. Telemachus is Odysseus' son. He didn't really know his dad because his dad left before he was really born. But Telemachus, Athena, basically the goddess of wisdom, basically said, if you are like your father, then you should have no trouble sailing the seas. And basically, she does this, or he does this. He basically rides along with Odysseus, or no, he rides to like find news about Odysseus. And when he arrives back, Odysseus confronts him when he arrives back to Ithaca, which is Odysseus' homeland, which he was trying to get to the entire time. And he says, because he was basically shouting himself the entire time, trying not to let anyone know he was there. He goes to Telemachus and he's like, hey, it's me, Odysseus, but don't tell anyone, because we're not going to do anything. So Telemachus, with this knowledge, says, hey, these people are going to try and kill me and you when they find out, because they don't want anyone knowing. So basically, Telemachus goes through and he gets everyone drunk. And he steals all their weapons, locks all the doors, Odysseus comes in, and Telemachus and them slaughter all those secrets. That's how they die. Which is using wisdom. And I think if more people use wisdom in times like these, we would be better out. We wouldn't make so much stupid decisions, you know? That's kind of what I was going for.
Okay. So I am going to open the floor to questions. Mr. Bass, now you can take a nice breath. You've made it to the finish line, and you did it. And you see, I mean, I knew that you were a bit worried this afternoon, and you were consumed. But here you are. You made it. You made it, Mr. Bass. You made it. Good job. So I'm going to open the floor to questions, and anyone have questions for him? Anyone has questions for him?
So do you think Odysseus was born with wisdom, or do you think it was something he learned that he was obviously trying to persuade everybody else to sweat, to use their wisdom and better judgment?
So I think Odysseus, I don't really know, I don't think, wisdom isn't really something you're born with, it's something you learn. It's really applying knowledge, not just having knowledge, because everyone can learn knowledge, but it's like knowing how to use it. So, like say my math teacher taught me 10 plus 10, right? Now I know what 10 plus 10 is, but if someone in the street came up to me and was like, hey, what's 10 plus 10? I'm like, oh shoot, I don't know. That's like, because I know what it is, but when like shoved with it, I'm like, I don't know. Wisdom would be like, this one.
So was there a specific theme or lesson that you learned that you can apply to your life?
So I think the biggest lesson is make sure you're using wisdom, because sometimes I think this happens to everyone because no one's perfect and everyone's gonna act rashly sometimes, but it just happens, and that's something I definitely need to work on, because like, you know, sometimes you act rashly and stuff. Wisdom's definitely a big one.
Any other questions? Okay, so Mr. Bays, you talked a lot about hubris and also about acquiring wisdom, but first thing I want to ask you this question though. I want to focus on hubris though. Who are some figures in our world? Sport figures, politicians, celebrities, anybody famous who you think possesses hubris? And tell us why. Like, why do you think that?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say the biggest person I know with hubris is Keanu Reeves.
Okay.
You know, because, or without hubris, wisdom. The biggest person I know with wisdom is Keanu Reeves. Because not only does he know he has like a popular fan base, but he acts accordingly.
Okay. Very good. So we're closing at the minute. I think I can say that good job, Mr. Bass, I will say. And since there's just one more minute left, I can say that I can conclude it for you. And so right when it's 7:15, we'll have our passing period once again. But congratulations, Mr. Bass, you made it to the finish line.
So is it recording?
Excellent job, Connor. Love the bow tie.
Yeah.